Most of us spend our entire day performing the exact same trick, making it look like we are one person. But the truth is, you are constantly breaking up fights between two completely different selves. One is polite, controlled, and totally numb. The other is angry, hungry, and desperately wants to break the rules. In part 1, I asked, are you Smoke or are you Stack? But here is the uncomfortable truth. The moment you try to pick a side, you've already lost. Because the real problem isn't which side you choose. It's that you accepted the split in the first place. Shut down or burn out. We think those are our only two options. But the film Sinners just proved why that menu is completely broken. The answer is not Smoke or Stack, in fact. The answer lives in a character most people walk right past. His name is Sammie. I'm Jay Lee, and this is Deeper into Film, where we don't just watch movies, we let them reveal something deeper in us. Mississippi Delta, Jim Crow, Smoke and Stack returned from Chicago with money and one plan. Buy an old sawmill, turn it into a juke joint, build something that actually belongs to them. One night, one chance. And then there is Sammie, their young cousin, preacher's kid. No swagger, no performance, just someone who feels too much and plays it all into 6 strings. Opening night. When Sammie plays, his music does not just fill the room, it stretches out. Past and future arrive at once. For one brief moment, everyone in that room is free. But something else hears it. Ramek, a vampire, calm, polite, almost gentle, and completely predatory. And here's the film's sharpest idea. They cannot enter unless they are invited. Someone lets them in, and everything collapses. Stack is turned. The crowd falls. Smoke dies alone in a field. Sammie, bloodied, guitar broken, walks away from the ruins of that night. His father offers the clean answer. Put down the guitar, choose safety. Stay inside the walls. Sammie does not. He leaves. 60 years later, he's still playing, still human, still whole. And that's the question Sinners is actually asking. Not who won, not who sinned. How did Sammie become whole while everyone else split apart? Smoke and Stack are not just characters. They are patterns you already know. Smoke is the version of you that shuts everything down to stay in control. Completely reliable. Completely exhausting to actually know. You ask, are you okay? And they say, I'm fine. They have not been fine since 2019. Stack is the opposite. No filter, no delay, every feeling a breaking news alert. There's something almost admirable about the level of aliveness. But sometimes you need a helmet just to have lunch with them. Here's the uncomfortable part. You are both of them. Like you, I've spent many years exercising every morning and many years in daily meditation. And I still catch my Smoke self locking down my Stack self the moment my YouTube analytics look worse than expected. A man who teaches people how to feel things for a living, quietly going numb over a retention graph. The irony is not lost on me. Perform, crash. Perform, crash. And after a while, you get a very specific kind of tired. The exhaustion of managing versions of yourself instead of just being one whole person, right? Yes, that is the exact moment Sammie enters the film. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes about Sammie. They see this young kid with a guitar and think, oh, the balanced one, the moderate, the decaf option, harmless, forgettable. That reading is wrong. Watch him in that opening car ride with Stack. Stack is testing him, pushing him, and Sammie just plays. He does not perform toughness. He does not shut down. He does not explode. He feels something real and gives it shape. Watch him with Perlin. Nervous, clearly terrified, but he does not hide behind the mask. He's just present. Genuinely present. That is not the middle lane. That is the hardest thing a human being can do. Feel something fully without immediately becoming its servant. Smoke buries the feeling. Stack becomes the feeling. Sammie holds it, names it, gives it form. And that's not balance. That's awareness. Awareness gives you something neither control nor chaos can offer. That's the real choice. What Sammie is doing has a name. Actually, it has 2 names. One came from a Swiss psychoanalyst in 1912. The other came from the Mississippi Delta around the exact same time. They never met. They were saying the same thing. Jung called it the shadow. Not something evil, but the parts of you pushed away because they did not fit the version of yourself you were trying to maintain. Your anger, your fear, your hunger, your need. What you reject does not disappear. It waits, buries it, and controls you from underneath. That's Smoke. let it take over, and it controls you from the front. That's stack. Either way, you're not free. Carl Gustav Jung's answer was never perfection. It was integration. There's a huge difference between I am furious, where fury has the will, and I can feel fury moving through me right now, where you have the will, and the fury is in the passenger seat, where it belongs. Small linguistic shift, completely different life. At almost the same moment in the Mississippi Delta, the blues arrived at the exact same truth. Not through theory, but through survival. The blues did not deny pain. It did not collapse into it either. It transformed it, gave it rhythm, gave it structure. The blues does not suppress. That would be smoke. The blues does not collapse. That would be stack. The blues transforms. That is exactly what Sammie's guitar does. He takes stack's fire and gives it smoke's form. The result is not a compromise. The result is art, which is just another word for fully alive and fully grounded at the same time. And this is why the vampires matter. They cannot enter unless invited. When you're split, exhausted from playing smoke in public and stack in private, you make desperate choices. You let things in you never allow from a clear place. But Sammie never fully splits. He feels everything and stays present. So nothing gets a clean opening. We've been taught that the opposite of sin is perfection. No wrong thoughts, no wrong impulses, just a clean, controlled version of yourself all the time, in every direction. That idea produces exactly two outcomes. You become numb like smoke, or you burn out like stack. What if the real problem is not what you do at your worst moments? What if the deeper problem is the divided self that keeps producing those extremes? What if the real sin in sinners is not any particular feeling, any particular night? What if the sin is the split itself? And what if the opposite of sin is not perfection, but wholeness? Sammie walks away from safety not because he's reckless, but because he understands something his father does not. You don't become whole by cutting yourself in half. Yes, the film does not preach that. It just shows you the results. Stack, the vampire, frozen in time, immortal, intense. Never seeing the scene. Sammie, old, scared, surrounded by the music he made. Still playing. Still fully human. One life frozen. One life lived. So let me leave you with this. What part of yourself have been shutting down just to keep your life looking stable? And what part have you been letting run just to feel like you're still alive? And maybe the deeper question. What are you tired of pretending not to feel? Sammie is not a saint. He has not solved being human. He's just the one who stopped running, who picked up his instrument, knowing the pain was still there, knowing the monsters were still outside, and played away. And that's available to you. Not a destination, as a direction. Integration is not a destination. It's a direction. And it might be the only one that actually leads somewhere that feels like home. I'm Jay Lee. And this is Deeper into Film, where we don't just watch movies, we let them reveal something deeper in us. If something in here landed, leave it in the comments. What's your version of split? What side have you been living from lately? I read everyone. Thank you for thinking with me, and I'll see you in the next one.